Dr. Stephen Lowe. We got special guest attorney Jeremy Knox today. This is AdamRevival. Like, share, and subscribe. We're about to talk about Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and we're going to cover the UFC 314 card because that is going to be quite an epic card, I believe. Let's start here. It looks like we're going to purchase Canada.
Yeah, I mean that would be fun. And let's get Greenland while we're at it. We'll get both of them.
Now,
Um,
what do you
yeah,
make of that, though? Like, what do you make of that? I mean, Trump gets elected, and then all of a sudden, it seems like every other, every other microphone he gets, he's talking about purchasing Canada, purchasing Greenland. I mean, you think he's being serious about these things?
I mean I think he would do it. The only problem is, I mean, Greenland is actually realistic. Canada, I think there's probably an issue there. Just I mean, if you look at the latest things that are going on there, I mean, you got the premier of Ontario, which is like a governor,
Yeah.
calling Michigan's governor and apologizing for the recent tariff talk on electricity and so I don't think that that's realistic. I mean, it's fun to talk about, right?
It's
It's enjoyable to talk about, but I don't see Canada happening. Greenland, I could see happening for a few different reasons, but yeah, the Canada thing, I think it's just Trump being Trump.
Yeah, it sounds very radical to come out and suggest that, the United States should buy Canada. We did just have Justin Trudeau resign. I think that was probably due to conflict with Trump and stagnation in the I don't know, what is it, the Labor Party. I don't even know what party. I don't know much about Canadian politics, but he's out. Some new dude's in. That guy was in for about 5 seconds before I started seeing pictures published with that guy and Jeffrey Epstein all over the place. So that's interesting. But as goofy as it sounds, purchasing Canada, which I don't think it's real. I think, it could be. Who knows? I mean, but let's talk about this real quick. Is everyone's throwing a big fuss about us tariffing Canada, talking like it's the end of the world and we're betraying our closest neighbors. And in reality, Canada has been tariffing us for decades, forever, pretty much. I have some examples here. Uh, Canada has been tariffing the United States for milk, 270%, cheese 245%, butter 298%, poultry 238%. I could go down the list. Pretty much every dairy product, and then you get to rice 150%, vegetables 100%, fish products 100%, lumber 20%, shoes 30%, cocoa 30%, metals 25%, wood 30%. They've been tariffing the crap out of the United States for decades. I don't think anyone even knew it. Also, per Trump, uh, Canadians won't allow American banks into Canada. What's up?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Trump pushing back on any country that has been tariffing and doing the same thing to us. And I think
It's
we've been
only
taken
fair, right?
advantage of. And it's the same thing. It all comes down to, well, the U.S. can absorb it. The U.S. can afford it. We can't. It's a nice facade to have, but we are trillions in debt and we're trying to get out of it. So I think it's a tough tactic for Trump to take, and it's a fast, tough tactic. But I think the time for having one-sided tariffs and not having reciprocal, I think, is over. Canada knows. I mean, Canada has enjoyed being neighbors with the U.S. in having us be their ally and protector from the beginning of really the time, and so I think that it's going to get figured out. I don't have any issues with reciprocal tariffs because, just like you said, they've been doing it to us, and so we're going to do it back to them. And you saw what happened. They threatened to pull electricity from three of our states, and then you got the premier from Ontario. He's the only guy that really did it. Um, Apologizing for it. Like, what? I'm sorry I even thought about doing this, because at the end of the day, everybody knows that you're not going to pull electricity from us. And it's the kind of thing where, you know, uh, being neighbors and being their protector, and they know that we have their back. They're smart enough to know that they can't pull what they're going to pull and try to push back on us, because they've been doing it to us, and now it's time to pay a little bit back for what they've been doing to us. And I don't see a problem with that. I think what he's doing, what Trump's doing, is something that probably should have been done a long time ago.
100%. And I don't know why American leadership has allowed this to go on for so long. It's actually crazy to me when you think about, fairness, because you're right. Uh, you know, in the scope of things, we really don't need Canada, and I'm not diminishing Canada. Yes, they're very useful to us in a lot of ways, but we don't need them. If Canada stopped giving us everything, there'd be momentary impact on our economy, but at the same time, it's not like we can't produce our own lumber. It's not like we don't have all of the fossil fuels. We really don't need them. In the scope of things, Canadians, and I could be a little off my numbers here. It's been a while since I looked at it, but the Canadian population is somewhere around 36 million. That's the size of Texas. Right? That's the size of Texas. I don't think that Canada becoming absorbed into the United States is a real thing. But it's funny to hear. It's funny to hear it in the discussion. My dad, for one, used to call Canada 51st state all the time. I thought that was funny. And then you got Trump out here talking about Trudeau as the governor of Canada. I mean, it's just hilarious. I had one of my college classes last week, and I asked them, because I have some pretty left wing students in there, and I asked them, why is it a horrible thing for Trump to put tariffs on Canada? And they had pretty much all of the mainstream media talking points. They're one of our closest allies, and this and that. And it's like, I understand that, but we've been getting ripped off. We subsidize Canada for $250 billion a year, and it's like, what do we get in return? Can you can you argue against fairness, because that's what you're doing, right? At least at a minimum, reciprocal tariffs. Can you argue against fairness? And that's where the political left is left right now, or stuck right now, is arguing against fairness, and it's making them look really outlandish. It's making them look really ridiculous, even to the moderate.
Yeah, it's just like having a relationship with any friend. At some point you have to say, "Hey, I can't loan you any more money. Hey, I can't buy another dinner. Hey, I bought 12 beers." Whatever it is that you do with your buddy, Canada's our buddy. I mean, Canada is that buddy that's a little bit different that you like, and because you live around each other, you're friendly.
You
So
beat anyone up that makes fun of them. Yeah.
yeah, they're a little bit off, and everyone knows
They're a
it.
little bit off. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
But now Greenland might be real. We might actually, and I don't know if Greenland will be considered, I think it would probably be a territory situation like you have with Puerto Rico. Um, but the people in Greenland just had an election, and the party that supports, uh, you know, being a part of the United States just won. Well, they didn't win. They came second to the highest tier, which is massive, I guess, per Greenland politics. I guess they have sort of a what do you call it, sort of system over there. But the party that wants to be a part of the U.S., they just came in second place, and they came in second place uh, very close. It was like 6,000 votes or something that the other party took power. But I mean, that's movement in the right direction, and it might actually be a reality.
mhm. Yeah, I think it'll be a territory situation as well. I don't think we're ever gonna, in our lifetime anyway, are gonna have a 51st state. I think 50 is kind of where what we've settled on. If we were gonna do a 51st state, we would have already done it at some point, and we would have annexed Puerto Rico, and
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's why I think that's why we haven't done it. Is 50 is just it makes sense. It's an even number.
I agree.
So
I agree with you there. But those are it's crazy and it's unusual and extraordinary times that we're living in. You know, if anything, we're blessed to be alive right now to see these things occur.
agreed.
Um,
I mean, I think you enjoy it.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah, I think you enjoy the little bit of the ruffling of the feathers. I mean, it hasn't been to a point where I mean, a lot of the media wants to make it, this is a complete disaster, but this is like a rebuilding type of
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And I think the analogy is if anyone's a sports fan, think about your favorite team, and you've had 3 4 down years, and you got a new coach, and you got a new staff, and you got some new players, and you got some draft picks, and you got a new stadium, and you're going to have to figure it out and see where things go. And if your fan base at every step of the way, any misstep you make is going to all of a sudden lose faith in you, then I think you have to look back at this and say, this is like a rebuilding situation. And I can't imagine a better person to rebuild than somebody like Trump. And, like him or hate him, the guy can run a business. The guy is no nonsense. I mean, when you see him meet with other leaders of countries, and he stands tall, and he moves people out of the way, and he pulls in a handshake. The guy he's got a presence, and we've been lacking that presence. I mean, people forget the United States is not a docile, we need to get along with everyone country. We are a very proud group of people that went through a lot, and we're still always go through a lot. I mean, we've been through lots of wars, we've been through lots of political issues, we've made mistakes along the way, but at the end of the day, we're all United States, and we all kind of come from the same beginnings, and
Right.
which is a strong country that had to start from nothing, and we had to
Yeah.
build what we are. And so we lost that along the way. So, like him or hate him, I think he's coming in, and he's doing what he needs to do. Now, at times, is he a little bit extreme about it? For sure. And you and I have had off the record conversations where we haven't been on a podcast, and I think he could pull back a little bit on some things and go easy on some things. But if he did, that wouldn't be him. And so you have to let him be him. And I think what he's done so far is, even though there's been a few setbacks, and they haven't been brutal setbacks, it's because you're gonna make you're gonna have issues as you're trying to rebuild, and he's trying to do it as quickly as possible, and he's bringing in the right people to do it. I mean, he's bringing in a genius with companies to go through. I mean, I don't care if what side of politics you're on. How great is it that we're auditing the government right now? How cool is
Dude,
that?
dude, it's phenomenal. It's well overdue. And it's crazy to see anyone argue against it. You're right. You see these protests lately, and it's like, okay, who's paying for those protests? That's the guy, that's the bad guy, right? Because if you're auditing against a plain and simple audit of the United States government, which was originally intended to have three powers per the Constitution, being, the power of currency, a standing military, and the power to deal with foreign governments. We now have this fourth branch of unelected bureaucrats that are running our lives and subverting our constitutional rights. These departments are so bloated. I mean, even as far as the real estate, they're finding buildings and leases that just have no one in them, right? They just have no one in them. And we're just flipping the bill for all of this nonsense. And each and every department, people are getting paid. They're not, most of the time, they're not even coming to the office, dude. Like they're still in the COVID era practices. And these are the people that are taking our tax dollars, and then and the USAID. I don't know if you've even looked into that, but
It's
it's insane to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's any. Um, coincidence that USAID was the first thing looked at. I think there
Yeah,
was a lot of smoke there that
yeah.
led them to say we got to look at these guys first, and it turns out that's just a total scam, and it
Oh,
was
and
funneling money, into things that were complete fraud, and it's unbelievable what they're uncovering. And then, you know, and then people are saying, "Oh, well, you mistakenly let 500 jobs go that we needed." Okay, well, we'll fix that, but you have to look at, I mean, just if you just look at the rough numbers of the billions of dollars that they're finding they could save, I mean, and they're like, oh well, it's more, instead of 100 billion, it's more like 12 billion, so it's really not that significant. Really?
right,
if you
right.
if you audit a business and you find $1,000 that was being stolen, you would
Mhm.
fire people.
Yeah, 100%. There'd be consequences, dude. Any organization or corporation that's operating, in the public sector, it's like, you know, you have annual audits or biannual audits to make sure everything's going well and to make sure thousands of dollars aren't being wasted and or stolen. I think Rubio put out a text or a tweet or something saying that 83% of USAID programs or whatever leases or contracts. I don't know why my brain just went there, but 83% of USAID contracts are either fraudulent or erroneous, right? So we're just pouring money out. We're just pouring money out, dude. And this is further adding to the political shift back to the center, I believe. The radical extreme of the left, they're protesting, they're screaming racist, all of their usual nonsense. And normal people are looking at this going, you're bad guys. Like, you're just bad guys. Like, how are you arguing against this? And it's like, the Democratic politicians are coming out and literally grandstanding, holding, pulling out podiums and standing in front of news cameras and calling Elon Musk a Nazi and this and that. And it's like, these are just the usual tactics, and people are absolutely fed up with it. So I think in the end, this is a great thing. I think the radical side of both political parties is just going to be, shattered and blown away in the wind. I think what you're going to have standing is, normalcy, hopefully. And I mean, even the Republican Party of today, and we've had discussions of this before, but it's not the Republican Party of yesterday, because the Republicans were just as guilty as the Democrats that were part of this old system, right? I mean, they're doing the same thing, but now we see a new Republican Party that is like, you know, they're Democrats. A lot of them are Democrats, old school Kennedy Democrats.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and we always said it. No matter what side you're on, weaponizing the courts to get rid of some candidates
Wow.
and pushing through people without voting them in and having a primary, it's bad for everybody. It doesn't matter what side you're on, because as long as you're holding all the cards, those things are wonderful if you feel like going that route. But what happens when things shift and change? uh, they're going to use it against you. So nobody wants that kind of weaponization of courts, and no one wants these false, criminal charges brought against somebody. I don't care who they are. They could be the worst candidate imaginable. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be an absolute educated vote. Look, if you go to just doing, just straight research on Doge, you go to Fox Business, and Doge is the greatest thing you've ever seen. You go to PBS or CNN, and Doge is a corrupt system that is wrongfully terminating things that
Right.
are necessary.
Right.
Everybody knows it's somewhere in the middle. But at the end of the day, like I stated, auditing the government, I don't care if they find nothing. If they find $1, great. I just want it to be cleaned up. That's
It's
all.
not it's not adversarial to go and look and see what's happening. That's the thing here. It's not like You know what I'm saying? It's just normal processes that happen with every single business in the world. Like you have to audit and see what's going out and what's coming in. And, and by the way, for anyone listening to this, Doge has been entirely transparent also. You could go to doge.gov and literally look at every single contract, you know, good things and bad things that they're finding. Most of it's bad, to be frank with you. But they're not doing this in the darkness. They're not. It's not a congressional hearing at 2 a.m. on a Friday night when everyone's sound asleep and they're passing through a treasonous bill. It's nothing like that. They're looking into these things and they're being completely open and transparent about it. So Doge.gov, like before you come and start arguing against it, go research what it actually is and reject the brain rot and permanent bias that mainstream media is putting into your mind. Think for yourself for one friggin' time. Like, come on, man, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, and don't dislike something because you happen to dislike a person or their the way they look or their thoughts.
I agree.
Look at
I
look at
agree.
what they're doing, and look at everything, and then research it, and I mean, you don't have to do a ton of research on these things. I mean, you can just do simple searches, and you can make up your own mind. But like I said before, if you have any business, if you have 4 employees, 400 employees, 4,000 employees, 400,000 employees, auditing a business is not a terrible idea. And that's what they're doing. And guess what? They're uncovering a ton of issues. And
Ton,
it's,
dude.
yeah, and to the tune of, I mean, if you believe some of the things you're reading, to the tune of $108 billion. I mean, it's
I mean,
insane.
come on, come on. And then
Yeah,
and then
they're
now,
saying they're going to save. They're saying, Steve, they're saying they're going to save $55 billion.
yeah, yeah.
12.7 billion as of February 24th. Just those are on the contracts and leases that were canceled.
And I heard Trump and Elon both come out suggesting that they might send people back some money out of this, right? Out of the Doge savings. They might send checks out to people.
They
Uh,
should. They
they should,
should.
and they probably will.
Yeah. I
So,
don't.
my question is this,
Put it into an interest bearing account, and,
right?
and give me some retirement, because Lord only knows what happened to Social Security. I mean,
Uh, well, that's
that's
a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing, dude. They have found, what was it? And these are just rough numbers. It was like 3 million people aged 110 to 100 and 14, 3 million people 114 to 120.
unreal.
There were like 500,000 people that were over 250,000 or 250 years old. There was one person that was 360 years old. And if you're doing your math here, it's like, well, obviously America wasn't even around then. And they're trying to write it off to typographical errors. It's like, no, no, dude, not with those numbers, not with those numbers. Absolute and utter mess.
Yeah, again, no matter what side you're on, you can't be against finding fraud and finding unnecessary spending. Especially if you're a taxpayer. I don't know
Agreed.
how anybody can't be okay with auditing this government at all. I just don't understand why you'd be against it. It makes no
Well
sense.
needed, well overdue, and we must have common sense return to our society, and we're seeing that. So, just some advice for anyone watching this that maybe feel a little emotional, get back to common sense. Like, honestly, just think for yourself and reject this radical nonsense. We have to come together as a country, shed the R and the D, get those things away from your name, and start thinking for yourself. Look at the truth of things and arrive at the most conclusional or the best conclusion that we can as a country, and we must unify again. These are good things. These are good things for all Americans, not right or left, all Americans. And when you start getting, if you get those Doge checks in the mail, I don't want to hear no more bitching. You're gonna be eating your words. You ain't gonna be bitching then.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, we'll see if they protest and burn the checks.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take a stand. Take a stand now. Right. All right. Let's get into UFC 314 main card, dude. Uh this looks like a pretty stacked card here. Let's start off with Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Do you know Patricio Pitbull?
You know, he just got added, right? It wasn't
He just
with yeah.
So he was the Bellator featherweight champion. His brother was the lightweight champion, and he was the featherweight champion. He actually fought Michael Chandler in Bellator and knocked him out cold, quick. It was like within the first 2 minutes of the fight, he caught him behind the ear and put him to sleep. Dude's a little animal, and I'm actually excited to see him in the UFC.
Yeah, I think that based upon the guy being a late addition and being a solid guy, those late addition guys are always scary.
They
Um,
really are.
because they fight just like they are, man. They had nothing to lose. They don't care. They're ready to go. Yeah.
And he's a dang good unorthodox type fighter. So I don't know what I think about when I look at that fight. To be honest with you, I don't know what to expect.
I'm going for a flyer. I'll take Pitbull on that one.
You're taking Pitbull.
I'm taking the
I think
Pitbull.
that I think I'm going to take Pitbull also because it's just that he's been waiting to fight in the UFC his entire career, and he has fought a long time, and he's been at the top of MMA for a long time. And like I said, he's fought some serious competition. The best competition that you can fight outside the UFC, and even Chandler. Like I said, go back and watch that fight when you get a chance. It might have been a fluke, but I don't think so. I think he timed a good right hand and he caught him behind the ear and put him down.
Yeah, and that's as you know, that's all it takes, man.
All it takes, dude.
Puncher's chance.
That's all it takes. Next, we got Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. I don't know if you've watched Carlos Prates. He's one of the fighting nerds. They're like a little group of dudes. It's got Caio Barilio, the dude Bryce Mitchell's fighting. What's his name? John Silva, and this guy Carlos Prates. This guy smokes 2 packs of Marlboros a day, and he's open about it. It's kind of strange, but it reminds me of who was that boxer back in the day? He smoked cigarettes openly. What was his name? It'll come to me. People who know combat sports know what I'm talking about. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but
Yeah,
yeah, the
I'm
guy
trying
would
to
smoke.
think. A boxer that was open about smoking. I mean, you're probably going back to like what the 50s and 60s.
No, dude, no. It was. I gotta find him now. He fought. I think he fought in De La Hoya's division.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
yeah. Let's see. Let's see. You're probably gonna know his name when you find it. He knocked out a horse with his bare hands. He claimed. Let's see.
you sure?
It's just
You
a,
sure this wasn't like a Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey employee or some kind?
it wasn't, man, because I remember Ricardo Mayorga.
Okay.
Ricardo Mayorga, dude. Yeah, yeah. He fought some big names. He fought Shane Mosley. He fought. I don't know if he fought De La Hoya, but he was around with those guys.
That's
Anyway,
funny.
yeah, we got Carlos Prates. I don't know if you've watched any of this guy's fights. He knocked out the Leech, the Chinese fighter. He knocked out the Leech in his last fight, I believe it was his last fight. He's knocked out everybody he's fought against. He knocked out Neil Magny too.
Yeah, I
So
don't know. I mean, I'd have to flip a coin on these guys. I'd have to look at these guys close. I don't know on this
Jeff
one.
Neal is kind of your traditional striker. He's very good, but he's getting older. He's fought big names. He's fought Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's fought Wonder Boy. And he's done well with all of them.
Yeah, how'd
I
he
think
do against Wonder Boy?
he lost a decision, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. But he did knock out Mike Perry before Mike Perry left the UFC. He had kicked Perry. But he's getting older. He's definitely getting older, and this new guy is this new group of guys that I think they're undefeated. All of them are undefeated in the UFC. Um, and he's a fighter. I would call him a fighter more than uh, um, an athlete or a more technical type sportsman. He's a fighter. He's kind of that old school fighter, kind of that Vanderlei Silva. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, those are my favorite guys, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go with Prates on this, to be honest with you. I think that the new blood, he's got the fire. I like Jeff Neal a lot. I think he's probably more technically sound. but I think that Carlos Prates sneaks in a right hand in round two and knocks him out cold. That's my thoughts.
I'll take Jeff Neal because if Carlos Prates doesn't knock him out in the second round, he's going to be winded from all the smokes.
Yeah, from the Marlboros, man. But I think either, yeah, I don't really even disagree with you there. I think that's all right. Next, we got Bryce Mitchell, who we are going to have on the channel at some point. We had a discussion with him a while back. That was before the whole Germany issue, no, the
Yeah,
whole Germany
yeah.
talk.
Before the podcast heard around the world. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. But he's fighting a teammate of Carlos Prates, who makes up 1/3 of the fighting nerds, John Silva. John Silva just knocked out someone. Who did he just knock out? Pretty sure it was a bit. All right, let's see. I gotta find that out actually because so John Silva it has been um uh related to actually Vanderlei Silva, who I was just talking about. His fighting style, his tenacity, um, and his he is kind of who did he just knock out? Let's see. He just fought like 2 weeks ago.
yeah. I'm just looking to see if I can find it real quick here. Looks like he fought Melsick. Is that right?
He
No.
I don't know if that's I thought he fought a pretty big name last time out.
Well, it says yeah. I think that's who it was.
Is that Melsick? Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. I thought it was a more notable name, and no disrespect to Melsick, but yeah, yeah, Melsick
Anyway,
Bagdasarian.
I can tell you that based upon the face off and the press conference that I watched, as well as Bryce, um, his whole attitude without being all of a sudden becoming a really a bad guy, quote unquote bad guy. Here's my thoughts: unbuckle your seatbelt, get ready. That guy is ready to go. I'm all Bryce on this one, man.
I'm going with Bryce Mitchell. Uh, and I don't appreciate all the hate with Bryce Mitchell. I don't like that. He's a good guy. He's a Christian guy. He's
Yeah,
maybe a little bit, has some out there views that people don't agree with. Whatever. You're entitled to your own opinions. I don't think there's a hateful bone in that guy's heart at all, racist or any nonsense like that. So I deny all
yeah,
those
yeah.
labels attached.
Yep. No, I got no issues with the guy. I'm a First Amendment freedom of speech guy. I think you can say
Yeah.
whatever you want.
I think,
No
I think,
issues with it. I think I think there could have been more of a dialogue. I think what the guy who's on the
yeah,
podcast with just kind of let him go a little bit, and I don't know the circumstances there, but yeah, I got no issues with the guy. I think I think he just needs to go in there and fight. I think it'll take care of itself. But
I
yeah,
agree with you.
I think look, everyone's balanced. I mean, there's no perfect person. We're all flawed, and we all see things differently. But I agree with you. I think he's got a lot of positives, and obviously one of them, he's a good fighter. So
He's a
I
good
think
fighter. He's a good guy. I, you know, I'm a history professor. I kind of understand. I'm not going to sit here and agree. I think what he said was taken completely out of context, and I think I know where he was going with what he was trying
yeah,
to
yeah, that's
say.
what I'm saying. And I'm not blaming anyone, but I think if he would have been on with somebody that knows that era well, they would have been able to have a discussion and say, "I see what you're saying, but look at this side of it too." And I think he would have probably
I would
agreed at
agree.
some point
Yeah,
that what he's saying is a little bit a little bit too far, but maybe not. I'm not going to speak for the guy. I mean, the guy knows what he said, but I know what he was saying too, and it's just one of those things. If you're in the spotlight, you have to be careful. There's certain things left in society
sure,
that you can't
sure.
cross,
And
and you got to be careful with those.
and Bryce has made quite a name for himself talking about controversial and off the wall things, right?
For sure. Well,
Um,
that's what I said. Unbuckle your seatbelt.
right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if I'm more excited for the press conference on that or the fight itself. But I'm gonna go with Bryce Mitchell. I don't particularly like this John Silva. I don't like his
No,
attitude. I don't know how good. I think he's probably a good fighter. He looks decent, but I think Bryce is going to implement his wrestling. I think he's gonna stay tight to him. He'll probably get shrugged off a couple times, sprawled on a couple times, but I think he's gonna hit that outside single double leg against the wall, and I think he's going to drown this guy. I think it's probably going to go 3 rounds. Um, but I'm going to call Bryce Mitchell TKO in the third round, or a choke, TKO or a choke in the third round. Bryce Mitchell, and he's going to redeem himself for the misunderstood stuff that he said.
yeah, I like that call. I think it'll go to a decision. I think it'll be Bryce.
Okay. Yep. It's a good call. All right, now good fight. Next one up here, and I don't know what to think about it. We got Michael Chandler and the Scouser Patty Pimblett with the red hair, who's quite the character. I like Patty Pimblett, to be honest with you. I think he's quite a character, but I think he's genuine in his character. I don't think there's too much hyperbole to it. So, what are your initial thoughts on that, Chandler versus Pimblett?
Yeah, so if you were at a bar and you saw Michael Chandler and you saw Patty Pimblett, you would put all your money on Michael Chandler. That guy
100%.
is a specimen of a
Yep.
person.
He's like one big muscle. He's like just like a muscle.
Yeah, and he's a journeyman at this point. I mean, he's at
Hmm.
the end of his career. I mean, he's a guy they asked, years ago what they thought about Patty Pimblett, and he said, "I'll never have to fight the guy because I'm on my way out. Like
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna fight
Yep.
Connor, and I'm gonna be gone." But he didn't say anything bad about him. He just said, "Yeah, he's a young up and coming guy, but it'll never happen." And here we are. So the thing that I'd say about Patty is he doesn't lose. I mean, every time I see him go up against someone, I'm like, oh, this is where Patty loses. He doesn't lose, and he can morph into whatever he's fighting. Like he's packed on muscle. He's lost weight. I mean, there's times when you see him and he looks like he's chronic because he lost so much weight, and there's times you see him he's jacked. So this guy can just show up to whatever you put in front of him. Put aside his hair, put aside his dancing that he does. I mean, that's all fine and good. I think it's entertaining, and I love seeing it. But the guy can flat out fight, and dude, I think Patty Pimblett is gonna beat this guy, and it's just it doesn't make any sense other than the guy Patty's the legit. He's the real deal.
I think that I think I agree with you here. Pat. So a lot of things, a lot of something that people might not understand about Patty Pimblett is he is a big guy. He is a
Yeah,
long, lanky, big framed 155er. And he's a lot to deal with. He's very durable, so he'll take a beating, and he's got great technique on the ground, and he's a lot to handle on the ground. But even standing up, I don't. To be frank with you, I don't see how Michael Chandler can win this fight outside of a puncher's chance here. Um, I
yeah.
think what's going to happen is
Pimblett doesn't get knocked out.
right. No, I agree with you. I agree. I think he's very
So
durable.
yeah, so you're taking
Um,
away Chandler's, his the fact that he's a block of muscle. Yeah, I mean, let's keep in mind too. Chandler is a wrestler. I mean, that's overlooked all the time because he's decided to be more of a striker now. But
Gladiator. Yeah,
Pimblett can go to the ground too. He'll
I
submit
agree.
you.
I agree.
So yeah,
So
I think this is a huge fight for both of these guys. I think
yeah,
it's a bigger fight for Pimblett because I think Chandler won't. It doesn't matter to Chandler if he win. I mean, obviously he wants to win, but this is a huge win. If Pimblett wins this, he's got one more fight and he's going for a title.
I agree. I agree with you, and I think they've built him up the right way to do that. Um, I do think, yeah, I could see Pimblett beating Chandler and then going up against the likes of maybe Moicano or Sarukian. Yeah, I think that's probably what would happen. I do think Patty Pimblett wins this fight. I think that it's going to go all. I don't know if this is a 3 round or 5 round. I'm going to assume it's a 3 round. It's a co-main, so I'm going to assume it's a 3 round. Chandler's going to be hyper aggressive. He's going to be throwing, his overhands and ducking his head. He might try to wrestle him here. I just don't. I don't see how Chandler wins, and I don't think Chandler. To be honest with you, I don't think Chandler's concerned about winning these fights. He's only won 2 fights out of like 6 in the UFC, and it's 100% due to the fact that he's not using his actual ability. He's more concerned with pleasing the crowd than he is in going out there and using technique, which is great. I get it, and I appreciate it. But when it comes down to actually sealing the deal and winning a fight, Paddy Pimblett's going to win this fight. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3 round decision. I think Pimblett wins a 3 round decision.
I think Pimblett's going to submit him.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think I
He'll,
mean
he'll, he, yeah, I could see that. No, I could see that triangle choke.
yeah, because
Um,
I think he's gonna choke him. I
yeah,
think
you're probably
it's
right.
gonna be one of those things where Patty he's like a boa constrictor. He's gonna get some kind of weird move on him, and Chandler's not gonna know what to he's gonna try to get wiggled. Yeah, Pimblett's he's I think Pimblett's the real deal, man. I always kind of I never bet against him, but I that's the direction I've gone, and he's always surprised me, and he's always come through, and it was a couple close calls, but like he says, man, he doesn't get knocked out. So you take if that guy hasn't ever really been knocked out, then he doesn't have that button clicked yet. I think Pimblett's the real deal, and I think Pimblett is going to be fighting for a championship belt in about 2 more fights.
Agree with you. I agree with you. Looking at the 155 division, I think so. I like how he stacks up against Sarukian. I like how he stacks up against Moicano. Um, I could see it. I could see it. I don't know if he beats Islam. I don't know if he beats Islam,
Yeah,
but
well, that's the problem, right? I mean,
yeah,
Islam is
I know.
a different thing, man. But again, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see
I'd
what
love to
Pimblett
see
can
it too.
do.
I think he's got a good shot out of the available option. Actually, you know what? Something just hit my head. I think he beats Chandler, and I think he fights Charles Oliveira, and then I think he goes to the belt. But we'll see. We got Gaethje in there too. They could do a million things, but I could see him fighting Oliveira. That'd be a hell of a fight too, because Oliveira's also a tall, lanky dude with submissions. Let's move on to the main event. I don't even know how to feel about this fight. We got we got Alexander Volkanovski versus New Blood Diego uh, Lopez. What are your thoughts on that fight?
So again, with my bar fight analogy, if I got Alexander and I see Diego walk in, I'm like, Alexander's going to kill this guy.
Yeah,
Alexander just looks like he could
yeah,
destroy this guy. But I watched so in anticipation of discussing this, I watched Diego Lopez's fights, and the last fight that I saw, Diego got kicked in the junk like rocked. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they slowed it down slow mo. I mean, this guy's foot hit it directly spot on. And I then saw Diego get up and then basically armbar submit this guy
Who
and
was
take.
it? Who did he fight last? Do you remember?
I have to look, but whoever it was, it was. I don't think it was intentional. The guy was just kicking and kicking, and he
Yeah,
caught him. And
yeah,
so again, looking at Diego Lopez, the guy fights with a mullet.
I know.
And it's like he's got like Andre Agassi hair from 1989,
Well,
and
it was Ortega. Did he fight Brian Ortega last?
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And so having witnessed that, and knowing Volkanovski can get knocked, can get knocked around a little bit. If Diego's tough like I think he is, based upon what I saw, I think he takes Volkanovski, and but again, Volkanovski, man, that's not a guy I'd want want to tangle with, man. Just to look at that guy, I mean,
I
he just looks like he's a killer. But
I agree with
Diego, I
you.
mean, it's like the Pimblett effect. I got to just get over the way the guy looks. And once I
Yeah.
do that and kind of look at his body of work and see, what he really is, then I'm going with Diego. I think Diego's probably going to submit him.
Okay, so this is an interesting fight, and again, I think body type plays a lot into this. Volkanovski is very compact. He's very short. He's about as high level IQ as you can get as a fighter. He knows angles. He uses leg kicks to set up his strikes well. He's not really a finisher type puncher, but he's I think he could if someone walked into it. But anyway, I see Volkan and on the flip side, Diego's tall, lanky, uses range well. Volkanovski's a very technical fighter, and he's very, very good. He's very, very elite at it. But he's also old. He's been knocked out his past few fights brutally. And then we got Diego Lopez, who he's got that dog in him. He really is a fighter. Like, he's got good technique. He knows how to use his range. He's got good submissions. He's a problem to mess with. I hate to say it, man, but I Lopez is going to finish him. Lopez is going to finish Alexander Volkanovski. That's my prediction. I think it's going to come round 4 or 5. I don't
You
know
think he's
by
gonna
what.
knock him out?
No, I think he's going to choke him.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do some type of submission to him, and
I wouldn't be shocked if he did knock him out,
it's
though.
gonna be quick, and it's gonna come out of nowhere. Like the whole,
Yeah,
I think it's gonna go like, it's gonna be like, exchanging punches, and you're gonna be thinking like, oh, good, Alexander's got a good chance, and all of a sudden he's just gonna slip something around
I
on him,
agree.
and he's just gonna get on him like a snake, man,
I could see a guillotine. I could see a guillotine. I could see a rear naked choke here also.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be his strategy.
So, all right, we're coming up on 47 minutes, man. We don't want to bore these people too long. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. It's been a good one, and I think we're going to have more of this content coming up. I really enjoyed going through these fights and picking them apart. And, also talking about buying Canada. I thought that's a good discussion. Yeah, so Jeremy, bro, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll have you on again certainly, and maybe we can maybe we'll have a post UFC 314 discussion and see how wrong or right we were on these picks. I think we're pretty. I think we're pretty. I think we're pretty on, to be honest with you.
Well, it's fun, and I think it's like anything else. Fights are different than games. You bet on a football game, it's 4 quarters, man.
Yeah,
There's a long game. Fights are weird. I mean, think about it, man. You and I could fight, and I could just catch you. I could get
right.
lucky,
Yeah,
you know.
100%,
And
100%.
you have skills that I can't even begin to
Yeah,
think of. But
yep.
if I just get lucky, if you just happen to be on the ground and I happen to fall on you and just catch you,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
dude,
you don't
it's
know. You never
physics.
know.
It's
So fights are
physics.
great.
It's physics. No, I love it. They're totally unpredictable. And yeah, that's UFC 314, April 12th. Check it out. And I think, me and Jeremy will be back and we're gonna check out our we're gonna see how right or wrong we were. I think we're pretty right. I really do feel comfortable. I think our guesses were well educated. I think that's what's gonna happen, man. I think Bryce
Well, we're
Mitchell,
gonna
Diego
yeah
Lopez, Patty Pimblett, and you went with Jeff Neal. I went with Carlos Prates. That's gonna be an interesting one. Um,
yeah
but I do
that was the smokes. I think his cardio is going to be weak.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I think I do agree with you though. If he doesn't catch him in the first two, it's going to be an issue. We haven't seen this guy pushed beyond that, so let's see what happens. But all right, let's wrap this one up. This is Dr. Stephen Lowe, Attorney Jeremy Knox, Adam Revival. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you like this context. Also, if you got thoughts on UFC 314, comment below if you think we're wrong. I don't think we are. But and let's go by Greenland. Let's go. All right, brother. We'll see you.
All right,
Adam
see ya.
Revival. Peace out.